What's up, everybody? It's Gary V, and this is the Sports Card Strategy Show. Because you know this, there is no off-season.
No off-season! When you get into this game, the reason why you pay someone like Paul Hickey to get your sports card strategy together is because when you're starting out, you need perspective, you need wisdom, you need insights. And so he's been around the track enough times where he can actually coach you up and guide you. Doesn't mean he's going to take you to the promised land tomorrow, but you now have a coach by your side that can advise and kind of even create these pathways where you can get the education yourself. And that's a lot better than thugging it out on your own.
What? The kids better buy my rookie card now, because after this year, the price ain't coming down.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Paul Hickey. It's time to sit back, listen, learn, and earn with me on the Sports Card Strategy Show. Me and Kendall McKee, that is. Kendall, the Lefty McKee in the house, live for the Sports Card Strategy Show. Welcome in, everybody. We are happy to have you, NoOffSeason.com family members, and we are here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to help you make money flipping sports cards. Lefty, welcome in. Let's have a little talk before we go give the rundown of today's topics. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. There's a big week for me in my personal life, but man, I can't wait to start it out with a good sports card strategy show and just to talk I have some interesting little like feuds with PSA that I'm sure we'll get to at some point.
Yeah. Okay. And you got some interesting stuff happening with like getting a card collection from someone, and you were scanning in cards before the show, which sounded really cool actually in my headphones. So I want to talk to you about that at some point. And certainly big week in your personal life. Everybody keep Lefty and his family in your thoughts and prayers. Hopefully we'll have some good news.
Yeah, dude. Hopefully we have some baby news in the next couple of days. So
some baby news. Happy Monday to Andrew McKee.
Is warming up the there's a football in the one of my friends put the football in there, and so there's a football that's warming up the little baby swing. So
love it. Lefty and his wife are expecting. The due date is upon us. Yeah. So wish them all the best, and hopefully, like I said, we'll have some fun news to share in an upcoming episode, but we're excited about that. The one and only Michael J in the house, K Cards BB, some live chat love. All right, we'll give some live chat love throughout the show. We know most of you are listening on Apple and Spotify, but thanks for those of you joining us at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Some fun stuff to discuss today. You know, I put together the agendas throughout the week, and I like doing live shows. Live shows are my favorite with Lefty because you know, we get some stuff from over the weekend, right? Like Jayden Daniels' injury. So we'll talk about that. But I want to talk about, is the hobby going to die a quick death due to some guy named Jason Mashara, who apparently is the president at Upper Deck? Not sure what we should make of his most recent LinkedIn word vomit, but how to deal with gloom and doom hobby content, I think, is kind of where I want to get to with that. There's also something called centering school. So I did that last week. Lefty's going to help us with it today because we're going to pick a card that he's familiar with. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, the season has changed also. Like today's November 3rd. Like it is a different landscape. We've got, you know, the World Series is over. Maybe we talk about that. Maybe we don't. That's up to Lefty.
I got to mention that.
Okay, so we will, because Lefty is our baseball guy. So the World Series is over. The NBA, opening week is over. We're into the NFL season. We have a pretty good idea of what's happening in the NFL. We've got hockey as well, which obviously doesn't have as big of an impact, but it's notable because it's basically like all sports are happening all at once. And obviously baseball, because the World Series just ended, technically it's not really buying season yet, but it's coming up quickly on baseball buying season. So because of all of those things, our sports card rankings look much different now than they did just a few weeks ago. And so we're going to give like a quick overview of our sports card rankings. Lefty and I will talk about some things that are standing out to each of us and, some notable things that you all can do as a result of the changes in the sports card rankings. I want to talk a little bit about my Wemby wins, obviously, because that is a significant part of my sports card portfolio, being that over the last 12-ish months, he was one of only 5 players that I invested in. So we'll talk about that. I'm very excited to talk about that. In the show notes, it says, more Big Wemby wins. I was right about selling his Prizm Silver PSA 10 and buying it when I told everybody to buy it. And then we got some announcements from Topps. I want to talk with Lefty, and if there's people in the live chat that want to get involved, great. But Lefty and I are going to talk about like the print run archive, because you can go to topps.com now and see the print run archive for Topps Now NBA cards, which just launched. So I want to talk about the impact of that. What are the takeaways from that? Lefty and I have a lot of discussions about the print on demand, sometimes in our text string with Interner. And then eBay has some updates. So eBay has a grading fee update that aligns with PSA. And then eBay and PSA are rolling out the send to vault option with grading at checkout, which I know Lefty is our PSA vault guy. I use it as well, but he uses it more than I do. And I think that is something why he and I were kind of scratching our heads, right? We were kind of like, why can't you just, when they launched this originally, like over a year ago, it's like, why do we have to check out at the PSA grading at checkout, but then why do we have to get the card back and then send it to the vault? Why can't PSA just keep it in their vault? Well, now it looks like they're adding that, so that's good. All right, so Lefty, in the interest of keeping our strategies and plays exclusive to a small group of premium members, we are capping our total membership number to only 500 paid members at any given time. So this is the 3rd week that I have announced this, and every single week that I have announced this, we have had like tons of people run and go sign up. So we're not full yet. But when I announced it, we still had over 100 spots remaining. Now we only have 35 spots remaining.
Wow.
So 2 weeks. We've
That's
really
sick.
filled up the premium membership, which is great.
So on the website, when you log in, is the number that you have like a little thing on the homepage that says premium member alert? Is that a live ticker?
Well, I am updating it as new orders come in. So it's not it's not
I was
automated,
like, man, wow.
but yeah, like
because a couple of weeks ago you had in the show notes, you were like, I don't know, we have like 100. I'm just going to arbitrarily use 188 left.
Something like that.
And then on the website it said 187 left. And so I was like, oh man, did somebody sign up like during the first 20 minutes of our podcast last week or 2 weeks ago? And I was just like, that'd be funny. But so you're just in there just like,
I'm just in there like, like as soon as an order comes in, I'm like, okay, because I want people to feel like, okay, well, if I sign up, and then I go back and look, like it should reflect that, right? So I'm trying to, I didn't spend time coding something that would like automate it, but I'm just basically like, okay, I'm going to change it manually because if you go invest $30 for your first month or $300 for the year, it's like, hey, you want to feel like, hey, okay, Paul said 500. We're cutting it off. We are cutting it off. We're cutting it off. So there's only 35 spots remaining. So you got to get in. And Lefty, this is going to be really cool. I was testing this. It's on our development server right now. We have a My Athletes feature that's actually going to be really cool because
I'm excited about
almost ready to launch. So now what it'll be, and look, we're not charging any more for this. We're just adding more features. So basically, when you log in right now, you see like top sports card auctions. You can obviously navigate to all of our other great features like player rankings or the card analyzer and predictor tool, the PSA image scan, sports card school, premium pod, track your inventory, all that stuff. Well, we are going to have the My Athletes feature where you can basically save athletes in that you want to follow, like your watch list. And then it's going to feed, when you do that, it's going to feed you into the top auctions for the athletes that you want to follow. And then that is going to be what is going to be at the top of the member dashboard when you log in. So you'll still have all the other great features, but you're able to manage your athletes, which I think is just another like, okay, maybe some of the stuff exists somewhere else, but it's just another thing that we're adding to make it more efficient. And then also, it is what's different about it is we're feeding you the top auctions for the athletes you're following. So you don't have to necessarily do all the work trying to find the cards that are going to make you money. We're doing that for you. So I think that'll be really cool. I'm excited. And then the sell alerts feature, like that's almost done too. We previewed that a couple weeks ago. So
that'll be a really cool feature to use on our buying the dip with dips stream.
Oh, yeah, when we do the dips, the holiday dip party show,
we'll definitely show our athletes on the My Athletes section of our nooffseason.com.
That's a great idea. And then everyone will be able to see who Lefty's buying and who I'm buying. All right, cool. So
I don't know if you can do this, but what if me, you, and Turner's buys were public?
I don't know.
Maybe
there might be a way to do that. Well, I mean, what we could do is we could make that into like a little blog post or something pretty easily.
Yeah, I like that.
This is a screenshot. Here's a screenshot of who I'm buying, and you and Turner could do that as well. That's a good idea. Or in the Discord, you guys, we could throw it in the Discord. That'd be we could add like a little Discord channel for like who you're buying, and all the members could maybe add screenshots of the athletes that they're buying, something like that. The one and only Michael J says it's well worth the investment. Vibros Collectibles, will someone get extra points for close mojo when they are the 500th? Like when we're getting
mojo. They closed the mojo, like they closed it.
Get extra points. Yeah, we could do that. We could give,
500th person gets a
what we could do is
Paul
like
Hickey signed trading card.
It could be, I like that Vibros. I think it's Richard Villarreal is Vibros Collectibles. I think we could either give extra member points to the 500th person, or we could give extra member points to everybody when we hit 500. How about we do that? How about we
let's go.
Let's give extra member points to all 500 of you. I think that's what we should do. Good idea, Richard. Okay. Jason Mashara. Did you see this, Lefty? Did you see this Upper Deck president? Okay, like I go off on just absolute rants. So before I do that, why don't you give me your take on when you see this? Upper Deck president Jason Mashara weighed in on the state of the hobby. This is now at least a week old. From rising wax prices to increased speculation, he says the current market is being carried by the top 10% of spenders, and that could spell trouble if momentum shifts. And so Sports Card Investor posted this, and it's actually like, I think what he said is more along the lines of like he compared sports cards to some other alternative investments. And I think he grouped sports cards in with some other stuff that to me didn't make that much sense to group it in with. And then he also basically, I think is making a claim based on some data that is happening throughout all markets throughout the world. And then different, like he used data, but it was data from things that have absolutely nothing to do with the sports card market. And he's basically lumping the sports card market into that and scaring people in his LinkedIn post. I'm going to go actually try to find the actual post. But Lefty, when you see this type of post from Sports Card Investor, where does your mind go? Like what's your hot take on it?
My hot take right off the bat is there is some sort of economic that move that he's doing that he is speculating on, and to that extent, I wanted to say this is just capitalism getting into a tradable economy. Capitalism has always done this. It just hasn't been for the retail investor before. It's always been like either in the stock market or in real estate or in oil or something like that. And now the people that have money, like millennials and even one I guess what's right before millennials, boomers, or is that
like I think it's zillennials. That's what I am. I'm like
so zillennial and millennials now are investing in things that they enjoy, which I think the things that they enjoy are these concert tickets, boxes of cards, things that are more tangible rather than, stock prices or oil and stuff. So I think we are seeing a change in the economy, and that's coming from my other background and stuff. But I think the thing that Jason's talking about here, it strikes me as whiny. And let me explain this. Jason is the president at a card company that is more or less irrelevant. They have hockey, and then they have stuff from back in the day. And I think this strikes me, Jason is saying, oh, I don't get to play with the big boys anymore. And my company that I get to run is we aren't quite the same because people are pricing us out and we're not exactly like Topps and we can't afford signature deals for these guys. Yeah, because you're Upper Deck. You're running a company that decided not to sell to one of these big companies a long time ago. And by the way, you probably still could sell to one of these companies. You're just holding out. And this sounds like to me a guy that's saying, oh, poor woe is me, Mr. Owner and President of Upper Deck. We can't do what we want to do because Topps is actually too good at their job now. And it's priced us out of doing what we do. Yeah, Jason, this probably sounds like the same thing that Kodak said when they didn't make a digital camera before everyone else or whatever. That's like just a random example. I have no idea I'm not throwing strays on Kodak here, but I'm just saying, it sounds
maybe Blockbuster's president did this when
exactly
Netflix came in or whatever.
It sounds like he's saying, oh, people are buying the retailers out of whatever. I don't believe that for a second. How many people are now in the hobby that are not on the 1%? Sure, the 1% are going to buy the huge cards. And I think that will drive up the retail investor. But that does nothing for guys that are in our community, Paul. And why? Because we are buying things differently. We are strategically and systematically buying things one at a time. We're not buying retail boxes. We're not he is correct about one thing. The market is different. But in our strategy, it's the same. And we are still going to Jason not producing cards by Upper Deck will not affect us. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I'm glad that you had that take because I totally agree with it. And I think that that's an important part of it. And just to recap, it's like he's coming at it from a standpoint of sort of sour grapes because Upper Deck sucks. If we had to just boil that down into a bullet point. Right. And then I agree with everything else that you said. And I think the thing, and I'm absolutely irate when content like this comes out and also gets sort of reposted. Like, I don't blame Sports Card Investor for reposting it. I don't blame I think Collect reposted it too. And they're both like news-ish, they're hobby news outlets, right? And we're not a hobby news outlet. We're specifically helping people make money flipping sports cards. But the reason that I get irate when this kind of thing happens is because it is so high level, like 50,000 foot view. And this is also kind of what you're saying. It's so 50,000 foot view that it does not apply to not only us, but a lot of other hobbyists. And I think part of the reason is because I'm just going to read his actual LinkedIn post and then we can kind of break it down real quick. Everything speculative is up right now. The stock market, Bitcoin, trading cards, and it's pricing some collectors out. Okay, first of all, the stock market, Bitcoin has nothing to do with trading cards. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with trading cards. And then he says, here's what the data shows, which now I think it gets misleading because he's looped trading cards into this. And just because he's in the trading card industry, he's looping trading cards into this, I think, to your point, because he's sour grapes. He's whining. But shame on him. Shame on you, Jason, because you're not informed enough. Clearly, you're not informed enough because now you're using data. He says the data shows 50% of consumer spending in the U.S. is coming from 10% of the population. Rich people are carrying the market. not just in cards, but across every category. Jason, have you ever been to a card show? Have you ever been to a card show? Do you know your clientele, the people who want to be buying your trading cards or who are buying, to Lefty's point, Topps' trading cards or Panini's trading cards? Do you know them? I don't think you do. I don't think they're rich people. I've been to card shows. I've talked to the people. Yeah, they're spending a dickload of money on trading cards, but they ain't rich, brother. They ain't rich. Trust
what's
me.
your classification of rich here?
How are you? How are what? It just bothers me so much when people who have platforms like this make content like this. It's so wrong. And then you go, and then it gets worse. He starts comparing it to concert tickets. Okay, so now we're supposed to think because concert tickets are expensive that the sports card market is in trouble. I mean, that's the conclusion that he's like. Look, everyone reads it this way, whether he intends it or not. Everyone reads it this way, and it gets reposted this way, right? Because what does Sports Card Investor post? Upper Deck president on the state of the hobby. This is not, and let me repeat, this is not the state of the hobby. And that's kind of what pisses me off about this. This guy's post is not the state of the hobby. Like, it's not. It's just not. Like, go look at the eBay sales data. Go look at market movers. Go look at our card analyzer and predictor tool. Cards are selling at all levels, whether it's entry level, low cost cards, whether it's new collectors coming in, whether it's veteran flippers, veteran collectors, like whatever it is. People are spending money on cards and they're not, it has nothing to do with what Jason's talking about. And that's the data. That's the data that we talk about on this show. And Jason's talking about data that has nothing to do with the sports card market. Now, could you draw a conclusion like, well, because Americans might be overspending on da-da-da-da-da-da-da? Sure. But again, have you been to a card show? I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm being sarcastic. Like, I'm actually very sure that we're okay. Like people are like, we're good. And oh, by the way, Lefty, we've been through this already. We've been through this already in 2021.
Yeah.
And we're fine. We're more than fine.
Yeah.
Everything came down in 2021. You and I were part of that. And that's
We
actually
licked
when
our
we
wounds.
started learning. We learned a ton, right?
Yeah.
We learned what cards aren't sort of this dip proof, right? And then that's when we came up with the right card for the right player at the right time. It can't just be any card. So we've been preaching and showing through data. It can't just be any card. It's like maybe 3 to 5 cards per player, maybe, are going to be the right ones. And so, okay, concert, who cares? Concert tickets, like NFL tickets have been expensive for a decade, bro. Like, I mean, this stuff has been expensive for a long time. Like, it's not... I mean, Johnny come lately over here who's running Upper Deck. Concert tickets are expensive. Really? Oh, luxury goods? Why do you think they call them luxury goods? They're always expensive. Okay, like, yeah, high-end collectibles have been moving at record prices for a long time. Like, none of this is new. I just think this guy's a jackass. This guy's an absolute jack. I think we need to move on. I don't have anything else to add. We've been through this before. It's not the state of the hobby.
Different. I mean, I think the general economy has always been pushed by the 1%. If you're just looking at dollars invested, of course the 1% is going to carry dollars invested. They're the richest people. They're buying the most expensive things. That's just life.
And it's also hard for me to give validation to someone like this. He's clearly not in the hobby. Like, it's obvious that he's not in the hobby because, like, me, you, everyone else we know in the nooffseason.com family, we're making a dickload of money flipping sports cards, and we have been, and we're doing it the right way, and it's through the tried and true best practices, and no one's getting screwed. No one's getting screwed over and losing their shirt unless they make dumb decisions. So, I mean, if you make a dumb decision and you overpay for anything in your life, Jason might think that that's bad, but you might think that that's fine because you wanted to go to that concert.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit out of my league when we start to talk about the economy and other things, but I'm definitely not out of my league when we talk about what we're doing in our hobby. And so I think where I get super sensitive is when people like Jason will take these large scale economic trends that have nothing to do with the sports card hobby and see $1.3 million card sale happen. And yeah, maybe it was less. I know there was a Babe Ruth card that sold. It was like the biggest loss ever. Okay. But like, that's because that person who bought that card for $7 point whatever million and then sold it for $4 million, they obviously needed the money back. They needed some kind of money back. Or they were a jackass for auctioning it off like that. I mean, it just like, but that's one thing in a vacuum.
They probably took a massive tax cut on the corporate loss tax. So they probably had to do that. It's not just always number for number anymore, guys. Like, come on.
Yeah, the number for number stuff drives me nuts. All right. Is the hobby in trouble? No. How do we deal with gloom and doom hobby content? I think we ignore it because I think it's stupid, and Lefty and I have never tried to be people who look at that as a way to clickbait people into our content, even though literally the title of today's show is the sports card hobby in trouble? But then it says how to deal with gloom and doom hobby content, because the sports card hobby is not in trouble. So how do we deal with it? I think we can unpack it. That's one way to deal with it. But then just look at the data of what you're doing. And here's the other thing. Does it matter if you have a play that you're going to complete? Does it matter that the economy is in trouble? I mean, if you have your Cooper Flag cards coming back from PSA, the Panini Rated Rookie Retro or the Panini Draft Night or whatever, and you know how much those are selling for, and you can look at it and go, okay, well, I'm still going to make $10 a card. Does it matter what Jason Jackwagon's saying over here? No. Yeah. So ignore it. Just ignore it. That's what I try to do. But it's hard to ignore. I have to address it because it's in my feed because people are reposting it. So I just kind of want to squash it. Hopefully that makes sense.
Squash it.
The one and only Michael J is like on fire in the live chat. Hobby is still alive. Sold at a card show this weekend. My best one-day show ever. Here's the other thing. We'll get to the details of this in a second, but I made money at the Nashville card show a couple weeks ago, and then a bunch of cards that people didn't want to buy for whatever reason, they were lowballing me. And they're Victor Wembanyama cards. I've made 3x on them over the last week. Why? Because the NBA first week of the NBA season, that's the selling marker. And when you have a guy, when you bought the right card at the right time for the right player like Wembanyama, and then you sell it during the first week of the NBA season, and he goes off like a madman.
Yeah, he does.
And you're good to go. Then you 3x. Jessica Kimberlin, what's up? He says he's just jealous. That's kind of what Lefty was saying too.
It just sounds whiny, man. Just don't like it.
Sounds whiny. NoOffSeason.com helps you make real profits flipping sports cards with insider data, real data, not Jason's made up BS. Proven strategies and exclusive access to undervalued cards before the rest of the market catches on. NoOffSeason.com gives you the data, tools, insider insights to flip sports cards for profit faster and smarter. Membership limited to 500 people. Only 35 spots left. Once we're full, we're full. You got to get in now. Ready to secure your edge. Visit NoOffSeason.com to do that. All right, Lefty, let's talk about Jayden Daniels. I mean, we had a question on the premium pod this past week, and it was, who are the top 3 players to buy during the upcoming holiday dip? Jason Daniel, I gave 6 athletes on that show, broke down some of the cards and everything. And Jayden Daniels was in the top 6. He wasn't in the top 3, but the reason I gave 6 is because I think that they're all worth buying, the 6 that I gave on the premium pod. So Jayden Daniels suffered an elbow injury to his non-throwing arm this weekend. His left elbow, early results are that it's not broken. We don't really know the severity of it, I don't think, unless there's some kind of breaking news. So yeah, I mean, I want to get into the cards that I like for Jayden Daniels, but Lefty, I'll kick it over to you first. What do you think just overall about Jayden Daniels being a buy during the holiday dip?
Yeah, I have a little like briefing here because I think there's a point to be made here that's really important. And I do think that he's going to be a buy. I actually have been buying him, and now I'm more excited now to get into these cards from a raw to grade perspective. I actually have had 2 hollow Prizm Jayden Daniels cards delivered to my house this week. And am I mad about it now? Like, no. I mean, I probably spent a little more than they're probably worth in the next week or 2, but I'm still excited to be grading them. And I think he's a buy, but I think, what is that? When I say he's a buy, then I try to put it into the consumer's perspective, like the people that are listening to our podcast. Do they say, okay, cool? And do they immediately go, Kendall and Paul said he's a buy. Let me switch to my other screen, go to eBay, Jayden Daniels, Hollow, Prizm, whatever one's available, click and buy.
I hope not.
Yes and no. I mean, I hope you don't just, I hope there's a little more into it. But I think this is what Paul's going to get to, is it has to be the right card. This might be obvious, but I think I'd like to talk about practically how we're going to find these cards. Like, is Jayden Daniels going to get cheaper? Yes, but maybe not right away. I think what we see here is a result of volume will be down. Like, his cards being posted and being bought will go down, which will, create a price differential, and we'll see some of those prices drop. But you won't necessarily see Jayden Daniels deals flying all over the place, because people still know what they have in him next year. Like, people still know that's a dog quarterback. It's the similar thing with with Joe Burrow. I mean, it was honestly a similar thing with Wemby. Like, this was the Wemby announcement that we had when the blood clot happened. Like his cards immediately dropped a couple of $100. And I think Jayden Daniels cards will continue. We'll see a small drop, but I think people still know I'm going to buy this guy for the rebound, because people will be excited when he comes back. People will know that what they have in him for the next year, and they're going to be comfortable with holding him. So how we'll win with this Jayden Daniels dip is a simple strategy. It's the auction houses or those like that are auctioning off his cards still. Like, no matter what people aren't rush selling him right now. The people that are selling cards on auction right now are those that are probably going to auction him off no matter the circumstance. So it will take patience, and it'll take focus on price points if you want to get in at a price point that you like. It's not just focus on Jayden Daniels specifically right now. It's not just go out and buy any Jayden Daniels card that's available. It's a slight mindset change to say, okay, over the next month or so, we are probably going to find deals in auctions on some of his cards. What it does not mean is it is a blank buy Jayden Daniels. Any card that's even out there is going to go up. No, it's basically us saying there are deals that will probably be available. You need to go and be shrewd in the way that you buy them. So it's not just like a blind go buy Jayden Daniels. It is a be patient, be critical of the cards you're buying, be very laser focused, aim small, miss small here, and be okay with people beating you out on auctions. Because if they're going to beat you out on a price that you want to pay for it, then you're going to wait for this dip to keep coming down. It's not going to happen in a moment. It's a slight mindset change.
Man, that was well said. That was phenomenal. Could not agree more. Took the words right out of my mouth. And I'll just add, when Lefty says auction houses, he's referring specifically to eBay auctions, but the Probsteins, the DC Sports 87s, the quick consigns. There's the you can find like these big sellers, right? That the consigners, ComC, whatever. And so those guys will, to Lefty's point, continue to auction off Jayden Daniels cards that have already been submitted. And when you can aim small, miss small, be okay losing auctions, like Lefty said. Here's the other thing I'll add is when you use our sports card rankings, and we'll get into this a little bit more in one of the next segments, and you see Jayden Daniels cards, and this is what happened with Wemby also, the ROI number might go down a little bit. And the reason why the ROI number might go down a little bit on the right-hand column is because of the PSA 10 price going down. So I want to get into some Jayden Daniels cards to look out for here in a minute when you are bidding in those auctions. But because the PSA 10 price will go down, and it had already gone down before the injury, which I knew and predicted, and I'm on the record as saying would happen. And that's why Lefty and I have kind of started looking at, bidding on him and things like that, even before the injury. Now the injury brings up another reason why his PSA 10s should probably go down over the next few weeks, and maybe even longer than the next few weeks. I agree that it might not drop off a cliff like Lefty said. I wouldn't expect it. Like, I totally agree with Lefty. It's like, it's not going to drop off the cliff, but it will gradually go down. And closer to Christmas, it should be maybe even lower than what it would have been had he not gotten injured, which makes it more of a buy because he is Jayden Daniels. It's definitely worth going after him in the format that Lefty talked about. But to finish my point about the raw to grade rankings, because the PSA 10 price will go down, you're now buying at a situation where, let's say, the ROI number on the top Jayden Daniels card is, so the Optic Holo right now, the ROI number is 35%. Well, that's because the PSA 10's at 218. Well, the PSA 10 could dip down to 150 during this next phase, which means that the ROI number could go down to like 14%. But I think because of the context of him being injured and not having as good of a second season, that means that the ROI number still could be around 35%, because when he does come back and when he is in the news, the PSA 10 could go back up over $200. Potentially, you might have to wait till next August, or you might have to, who knows. But the point is that don't be fooled by the ROI number in the sports card rankings. Understand that if you're making those smart, calculated decisions, you still could have even bigger upside if you're doing a raw to grade play. Now, if you're not doing a raw to grade play, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, looking at some of Jayden Daniels' top cards that are down right now that I think could easily go back up. I mean, I think you're looking at, so his downtown PSA 10 from 2024, Donruss Downtown PSA 10 is down $177. That card right now to get into it would be $1,500. I think that could be hard to get into now and then see an actual return on investment, although it's possible. I'm still a huge fan of his Prizm Silver PSA 10. His 2024 Prizm Silver PSA 10 should be that perfect mix of desirability and accessibility, where it's a pop 571, but you can still get it. It's down $102. The last sale was yesterday at $834. That should be a card that I think would be like Wemby's Prizm Silver PSA 10. Now, granted, Wemby's pop count was very different. It's like 4,000 something. So that could play a factor, and maybe Jayden's doesn't go as low as Wemby's did. Wemby's got down close to $500.
Yeah.
So, and that's when we told people to buy that at that point. And now it's close to $2,000. And so you're welcome for that. But back to Jayden, maybe it doesn't get close to 500, but maybe it gets under 700 during the holiday dip. And then it goes back up to the question of like, is that a good buy? And I say absolutely at that point, if you're getting it in an auction. Now, some of it, like a lot of his cards are down, but again, I would just be very careful with looking at what cards are down and assuming that they're going to go back up if it's already graded. I still think you're raw to grade, like the Optic Holo, like Lefty's making plays on. I think you're raw to grade on the Prizm Silver. Use our sports card rankings. And I think you're already graded. You're good with the Prizm Silver PSA 10 at this point. I mean, that's down big time. And again, to Lefty's point, you don't just go, oh, well, I see one for 900, buy it now. I'm going to get it. Don't do that. But try to win it in an auction at like a bid of, I don't know, $715 over the next few weeks, something like that. How does that feel to you, Lefty?
I think that's exactly where I'm at with it. I mean, the last sale was 806 or something like that. I think, 806. And if I could get in at 706, if I could get in at maybe 715, then I'm okay with this, because I do think this goes back to a $1,200 card. Like at 715 or 750, even 806, honestly, is pretty good for a $1,200 card. So if this comes down to 600, I will be having a couple of these. There's no doubt in my mind that I'll snag a couple of these for 600.
Oh, I'd be pumped if I could get a couple of these for 600. And I think in the meantime, Anthony Edwards Prizm Silver PSA 10 is another one that I'm trying to get. I've been getting it for around 830. And I think that's one that, and I know that's a different athlete, different sport, all that stuff, but just throwing it out there.
Have you actually crushed any of those yet? I mean, like, are you just shopping them right now?
I got 2 of them at 830. One of them was maybe like a month ago, and one was like a week ago. So nice. With him not necessarily, active right now due to the hamstring, and, it looks like hamstrings are tough, right? So who knows when he's going to get back to full strength, but it's only November 3rd, and he's Anthony Edwards. And the real reason I'm buying those cards is for May. And if this May doesn't happen, then some other performance spike's going to happen with him. And again, at that 830 price. And all these factors matter, guys. It's like the price of the Jayden Daniels card that you're targeting matters. The context around where Jayden Daniels is in the market definitely matters. The raw to grade. Are you doing a raw to grade play? That matters, because each time you can kind of hedge a little bit and it mitigates your risk. So the time that you buy him is a hedge. The raw to grade is a hedge. Buying them in an auction is a hedge. All these different things put you in a position to mitigate your risk. So, but I wanted to talk about Jayden, because I think as soon as a player of his caliber suffers an injury that's not catastrophic, like Wemby's blood clot, or Anthony Edwards hamstring, Jayden Daniels elbow, like non-throwing elbow, it's like, okay, well, now is the chance to go get him. And I think Lefty makes a good point. Don't assume that just because he got injured, A, that his prices are going to drop huge right away, or B, that you're the only one, or that we're the only ones thinking this. People outside the nooffseason.com fam are going to be thinking this too. So make sure you're smart in terms of buying in auctions. All right, let's switch gears real quick. Centering school. I think there's a card that makes a lot of sense to talk about. Last week we talked about Aaron Judge Topps. It's 2017 base 287 card, which is consistently at or near the top of our sports card raw to grade rankings, and people do really well on that. Another one that's still in the top 10 that, again, consistently I think is in the top 10, and Lefty has a great story about this from the National, which I want him to give an update on, is Tiger Woods 2001 Upper Deck base number 1 card. It's a $22 card raw. It has $257 upside in PSA 10. It actually sells for $49 in PSA 9, which is great. It has a good enough gem rate, even though it's from 2001, it still has a good enough gem rate to yield an 81% projected return on investment. And we've got this awesome centering tool at nooffseason.com, but there's no borders on it. So what is centering school? Centering school is like, how do we understand whether or not a card like this is well centered, right? So now's the time in the show where we get a little more visual. So for those of you listening on Apple and Spotify, we'll do our best to give the play-by-play on this, but we're going to our card analyzer and predictor tool at nooffseason.com. And then the other thing we're doing is I went to eBay, and I think, and again, this is knowledge that Lefty and I have talked about for a long time. We're putting it all together. So credit to Lefty on this tactic is you go to eBay and you search for a PSA 10 of this card. This is the first thing you do, right? So this gives you an idea. Now, to really nail it, you would have to do like multiple PSA 10s, and you would have to see, okay, what's the centering pattern, which I actually did. Lefty, do you remember the National with the Michael Jordan SGC 9.5s? And we were trying to figure out like, which ones should I buy out of the 30 of them that the guy had? He's a listener of the Sports Card Strategy Show. He was a great guy. Anyway, so I narrowed it down to 4, and it was because I went through 20 or 30 of them in person, and I was like, okay, this is the centering that PSA is clearly wanting, or that SGC is clearly wanting in that case. And so you could do that with this online. Like, you don't have to be. And so all I did was I took the cert number of this one PSA 10. I went over to PSA's cert verification, and I grabbed photos that were like straight on of this card because you want like straight on photos, not the sideways tilted stuff that you sometimes see. And so that's the good use of PSA cert verification. And then I copied these photos of the PSA 10, and then I did the same thing with a PSA 8. All right. So again, to really nail it, Lefty, like you'd have to do this, I think, with multiple PSA 10s to understand like where are the landmarks for centering this card, because you might grab one PSA 10. It could be a PSA 10 because the centering might not be a 10, but it might be good enough to get a 10, and the rest of the card would be sort of pristine, right? But I think with a card like this, we could probably just do it with this one example. We'll see how this goes. All right. So Lefty and I are doing this on the fly. So you go to our card analyzer and predictor tool, Tiger Woods 2001 Upper Deck. First thing you're going to do is chart a couple of these bad boys. And then once you chart at least two of them, you can click Analyze Card. This is if you're a premium member. You go front, and I've got Tiger Woods front PSA 10 queued up and ready to go. I've got Tiger Woods back queued up and ready to go. Then you're going to click Grading Analysis. It's going to take you to our centering tool. Okay, now, Lefty, this is where I need your help. You know this card really well.
Yep.
So when you see, and when I did this with Aaron Judge, here's kind of what I did, and you can help me out. From the top, I went, let's go top of the upper deck diamond. Is that kind of where you'd be aiming?
Yep.
On the top? Okay. And then on the top cursor of the centering tool, you just want to go top of card. All right. And sometimes it skates away from you depending on if you're using a trackpad or actual mouse or whatever. But let's go top.
The term skates away. That's
skates away. Thank you. It just came to me. So now on the bottom,
on the upper deck card, where now they only have hockey after we railed upper deck earlier, you say skates away. Love it.
Oh, wasn't even thinking that, but good call. Jason Mazara, I hope you're listening and watching this show. Just getting heated at me calling you a jackwagon. It was actually one of our live chat people called you a jackwagon. I just read that. Anyway, Lefty, on the bottom of this card, where are you going? I mean, this is where it's like, okay, how do you even?
Yeah, this is tough. I don't know. I think there's obviously two sides of this card that are very easy to measure. It because of the upper deck logo. I think the partial,
and that's the left and the top. Basically.
Yeah, so the left of the upper deck and then the borders. So you've got a pretty good representation here from the upper deck logo and the top left. Now the bottom right though is difficult. What I have seen on good centered PSA 10s, when we find this out, it will be very easy. But the very bottom square of this little scorecard here, the very bottom square is very important. And I think we'll need to run a couple of these, like this one that you're looking at. I'm actually looking at a PSA 10 too from my own vault, which that's a little precursor of how that grading went for me. I'm looking at it, and my bottom right checkerboard here, that little bottom right square is different than yours. It's much smaller actually. So I think we'll have to run this on maybe 5 or 6 of these, and maybe just make a good article about what is a well-centered version of this card. That could be pretty cool.
For sure. And this content will be at nooffseason.com for premium members for sure. And so like this.
But I think that is what I would go for. What you just did is what I would do is I would take the box score and maybe look at see the number 18 on the box score.
Yeah, that's the 18th. Is that the 18th hole?
Yeah,
on the scorecard. So the left, are you talking about the left line on the 18th hole, or the right line on the 18th hole?
And the right line of the 18th hole,
like out
that
or in.
That's the in. I would think.
Yeah. Yep. That's the in.
So the left side of the in, actually, because it says in next to that.
And that's perfectly 50-50 centered, by the way, right now. So so Lefty's correct. So on the left-hand side of the card, you're taking the inside part of the centering tool and you're putting it first at the side of the upper deck logo. You're taking the outside part of the centering tool, putting it on the side, on the outside of the border of the card. Then you're taking on the right-hand side of the card, the left-hand part of the centering tool, the inside, and you're dragging it to the right-hand part of the 18 line in the scorecard, which is the left-hand side of the in, right? For golfers, you know what that means. And then the right-hand side of the centering tool obviously hits the edge of the card. Now, Lefty, to bring you back in here in a second, the bottom, if I drag it to the line underneath Tiger's scores, right, where he's got his pars and his birdies and everything, the line below that, and then I go to the edge of the card, it's got a 59.41. So I don't think that is I
don't think that's the bottom one.
Right. Correct.
Here's another thing that
landmark. Where's the bottom landmark on this card, do you think? If I drag it up, where do I get 50-50? Is that the answer?
Well, what I did was I went back to eBay and I looked at BGS pristine 10s.
Okay.
Because
nice.
they will have a centering grade. So
I like that. There it is.
So I went to a pristine 10 and pulled a photo. There's actually 2 available right now. So I went and pulled up the second auction, and I think we've got the corner on the right side, but on the bottom side, I think I might do there. It's tough. I don't know if there is one on the bottom, but I think you need to see a rectangle, a long-sided rectangle in the bottom right.
Okay,
dude, this is tough. This is like expert analysis right here.
50. I know, and that's why I like that. I mean, I'm having fun right now. I know our listeners are. Our audience, you got to be loving this. Who else is doing this? Nobody else does this. Okay.
I will say the back of this card is incredibly easy to center.
Okay, so let's move to the back, right? Because right now what we have is we should have so we have a 55-45 top bottom because of if I put the top of the bottom, the top line of the bottom of the centering tool, if I put it on the scorecard line that you're talking about, and then I drag the outside cursor to the edge of the card, it's 55-45 top bottom.
What if you put it at the bottom of the numbers? Like not the line, but
so
like
with the bottom of the numbers. It goes to 52-4. Well, I think I skated a little high.
Oh, you skater. You skater boy.
It does go to 53-47, which is much better.
What if you what if you take the 3 in column 16? What if you take the 3 and just cut it right in half?
Then I think we're perfect. 50-50.
Oh, mamacita. Did we just figure this out?
I mean, then we go on the back. Talk about the back of...
Oh, the back's easy.
So it was easier. Okay, so walk me through this.
So you can... The top right, you can see the 1. So go to the top of the right.
1. Okay.
Yeah, back's easy. And then you've got the bottom ones that are very explicit, because the bottom of the upper deck logos, the bottom of the PGA Tour. You can see that there's a border on the left card because the T in Tiger follows right underneath the bullets. And then the right side of the card, you can just assume is just to the right of the 1 and just to the right of the upper deck logo as well.
All right, so that's where I'm going. If you're listening, just go to youtube.com/Paul Hickey and you'll see this. You can comment about how great we are.
Boom.
Okay, I'm not make sure when you're using the centering tool, like make sure you're actually to the edge of the card. I think sometimes people get that wrong because sometimes it's hard to tell in the PSA slab where the edge of the card is. But I'm at 47.53 on this one, and the back shouldn't carry as much weight as the front, and then I'm at 48.52. I know I've made our centering tool a little bit less forgiving recently just because I felt like it was a little too forgiving. Let's just see view grades. Oh, we got it. We got 10s.
Even the back is a 10.
Yeah, even the back is a 10. So we got it. So so we were 50-50 with our analysis of like the middle of the numbers compared to the top of the upper deck diamond. And then, which I think that was the trickiest one. I think everything else made sense when you're looking at it on a PSA 10. Now, for the sake of time, we won't go through like a PSA 8, but if you were to, I want you guys to do that. That's basically the exercise, is like compare it to a PSA 8 just to make sure. And then look at your card, right? Where does your card that you're about to bid on fall in that? And then I love what Lefty did with finding a BGS pristine 10 that had a 10 centering grade, or maybe it could be a BGS 9.5 that has a 10 centering.
Yeah, just a centering grade of 10. I went to a pristine because they're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's phenomenal. I mean, and I think, so that's what we're here for, everybody. If you're new to the Sports Card Strategy Show, if you've been here for a long time, if you're anyone in between, this is the kind of content we're all about. So let us know, do you like this kind of content with the centering school? It's not going to be like everything we do all the time, but just kind of working this kind of thing in, because I noticed when people use our centering tool at nooffseason.com, sometimes they're getting it and sometimes they're not. And I think it's easier to teach people when they're not getting it on like a Prizm or an Optic or a Donruss or a Topps Chrome, because they have clear borders and you can direct people and you can say, hey, I think you're not getting it because you moved the cursor to the wrong spot in the centering tool. But then I think it's tougher to teach people where the landmarks are on cards like the 2017 Aaron Judge, the 2001 Tiger Woods. If you're a premium member at nooffseason.com, go to nooffseason.com/ask and like maybe request other cards that you might be struggling with. And we can do them in centering school for you. And we're going to post these fun videos. Yeah, thanks, man. I like doing it with you. It's better doing it with you than it is by myself. I did the Judge one by myself. I thought it went well, but I knew the Tiger Woods one would be good to do with you. So, Lefty, while we're on the Tiger Woods topic, why don't you give us an update on your Tiger Woods play from the National?
Yeah, so I had a good time with it. Let's just put it this way. If you guys are not filled in, for those of you that maybe this is your first episode or you don't remember this, I have been, this 2001 Upper Deck golf card has just some sort of a hold on me. Like, am I a big golfer? No. Do I watch golf all the time? No. I maybe watch the Masters, and I did watch part of the Ryder Cup this year for the first time ever. Am I like, do I have Tiger Woods memorabilia other than these cards? No. But this one card, I think, just to me is, it's a moniker of my investing portfolio. Like my investing or my collecting started around 2001. 2001 was when I was 9 years old. That's when I remember having my first Brady card. That's when I remember having this Tiger Woods card. I remember starting to have these cards, and I remember looking at cards. So I think that plays into this for me. But this specific one, I have been looking for from a raw to grade perspective for a long time. And I have bought and sold tens of these, not hundreds. I'm not quite there yet, but I've done this probably, I've done this probably 20, 25 times over the last 5 years. And my record is probably about 30% PSA 10s, which is pretty good. Because and that's pretty good over the last 5 years because I was not doing very well in the first couple of years with this. But I found a dealer this summer that I was able to buy. I originally was trying to buy 9 of them at one time from the guy. And the guy was like, no way, I'm not selling them to you for $20 a piece. I said, what about $25 a piece? And he goes, no way, I'm not selling them to you for less than $30 a piece. And I was like, 28.
He was
kind of honestly, he was a jackwagon. And maybe in retrospect, maybe I just should have bought all 9 of them at $30. But I bought them. They looked pretty good corner wise, but then at the same time, it's like when you're looking at raw cards without an actual measurement data, like it's hard to look at a card like this and see it centering. I mean, we just literally put work in with a tool, and it took us a while. So if you're just looking at this at a card show, it could take a while to see if it's well centered or not. And I took a swing on 7 of these cards, and I bought them at $28 a piece, and then I graded them for $20 a piece, which puts me an all-in investment of $343 after grading. After I sent them all to grading, got 3 8s, 3 9s, and 1 10. Now, let me tell you what was awesome about this card. This card has skyrocketed over the last couple of weeks. I was having trouble selling this card for $280 last year. The last sold PSA 10, the current valuation is $438. The PSA 9 of this card is $67. So my grading fee of $49 all invested on each one of these cards, I'm getting $201 of the $343 back on just the 9s. The 8s alone will probably put me pretty close to the investment, and then I can sell the 10 for $438 extra dollars.
Well done.
That's what
Lefty.
I'm talking about. That is a dub, my friends.
That is how it's done. And Lefty, I know you're smart. You did all the work on this one, but you got to give the sports card rankings at no offseason.
Oh,
a little
absolutely.
credit just for prioritizing the card. I'm not saying that you would have not bought this without the rankings, but you were able to target this when you saw it. You were like, oh, that's top 10 in the rankings. I got to spend some time here.
Yep.
When you're at a show, when you're at the national, when you're whatever show you're at, it doesn't have to be the national, especially the national, but when you're at any card show, your time is valuable. When you're stinker tinker time on eBay, your time's still valuable. Your stinker only takes so long before you got to get back to your real life. So you got to move through this quick. You got to know what you're targeting. And that's why our rankings are helpful. They're a cheat sheet for you. So if you like the content on this show and want more, go premium at nooffseason.com now to get unlimited advice answered for our premium members only on the podcast every week called the Premium Pod. Go premium at nooffseason.com now. Hurry, because there's not that many spots left before we cap our membership. All right, Lefty, I wanted to talk real quick about Big Wemby Wins. So this is going to be short. I bought a lot of great Wemby cards, serial numbered autos.
Before you, the last thing I want to say here is that card is still on the rankings. So yeah, it's not quite as high as it used to be. It's not quite, it was like top 5. Now it's top 7. But that card is still a good buy. Okay, back to Wemby.
Absolutely. Wemby was one of my, this is kind of interesting. I'll just maybe this segment will take a slightly longer because I'll unpack it real quick. I think it's important to do this. When Wemby got injured, people were kind of like, oh, do you regret that Wemby's only one of your 5 athletes? What are you going to do now? And it's like, no, I don't regret it. Now it's buying season. Like now I'm loving it. Like this is great. So I've already made a lot of money on Wemby just simply by buying him after his injury. But again, with the Jayden Daniels conversation, not just buying any card, using our sports card rankings to narrow down the raw to grade plays, and then using the market and the trends of the market with his Topps Mercury stuff, looking at what serial numbered stuff is doing well, understanding that when you buy Mercury, if it's not sealed with the Mercury logo on it from Topps, that means someone's already cracked the seal, graded it, and it is not a 10. So there's not a raw to grade play with the Topps Mercury unsealed stuff. So then it comes down to, are there raw to grade plays with other cards Mercury sealed? Is buying a Mercury sealed card basically like buying a graded card? If so, how do you navigate that? There's also something like Panini Immaculate had game worn patches. So anytime you see a game worn patch, even though it's not a Panini licensed rookie auto with a game worn patch, it's still a Victor Wembanyama game worn serial numbered card. So what I did was basically buy systematically throughout, I would say, probably April or May through August, Victor Wembanyama cards that were about $300 to $1,000, either off of eBay or off of at card shows, knowing that my selling marker was going to be one of 2 times, and I was going to be patient enough to get to the second one if I needed to, but I was going to pull trigger on the first one if that one materialized. The first one being the first week of the NBA season. If and when Victor Wembanyama comes back, lights it up, his cards are going to go nuts. That's basically what happened. Now, if that wouldn't have happened, or if he would have gotten injured again or whatever, I would have just held till May and then sold it. But I listed all of the cards that I bought, and I would say I bought maybe 10 total. Some Prizm Silver PSA 10s, some of the types of cards I talked about. I'll get into 2 specific ones. Some of them I've already talked about on the Sports Card Strategy Show. I bought probably 10 total cards. I listed them all in buy it now or best offers as soon as I got them. I did take some of them to card shows. When I did not get an offer that I wanted, I held the card. And I'm really, really happy that I held the 2 cards that I'm about to tell you about today. But every other card I profited on by accepting a buy it now or best offer, or selling it at a card show. And I'm 2 to 3x on just about every single one of my Victor Wembanyama cards out of those approximate 10. But I'll get into some details. So 2023 Victor Wembanyama Panini Immaculate Game Worn Patch out of 99. In a one touch. Bought for about, well, I'm going to get my inventory tracker up. Bought that card for exactly $310 on eBay. Okay. Took it to a card show in mid-October, before the first week of the NBA season. Got offers either right at $300, which would have put me at a loss, or people just said, I don't want this card. It's not, they came up with BS reasons not to want the card, right? I sold that card in an auction. I flipped it to an auction, and this is the strategy. So people are like, how do you do this? Well, you have it in a buy it now. As soon as you see his market spike due to a performance spike, you flip it to an auction, and you don't be scared of that, because I sold it for $715 was the winning bid. And so after fees, $598. So my total net profit on that card was $308. So that is a 2x. 308 total profit, bought it for 310. All right. Now the other one, and again, these are not the only 2, but this is the other one that has been paid for, that auctioned off during the first week of the NBA season, was a 2023 Topps Midnight Wembanyama player worn patch on card auto out of 199. Comps all over the place for this one. I bought it at the trade night at the National for $800 flat 800 cash. Bought a lot at the National. Sold on eBay in an auction. Again, flipped it. Got horrible offers at the Nashville card show in mid-October. As soon as Wemby stuff started to spike during the first week of the NBA season, flipped my buy it now to an auction. Sold for $1,507 after fees, $1,276.91 total net profit. So my total net profit on the midnight was $507. So 63% ROI. I've got one more card that ended last night. There was a big one out of 99 auto out of Mercury. Got BS offers at card shows for that. And it sold for $1,700. The buyer has not paid, but it's only been really a few hours since that one. So like Wemby. And then the other thing I wanted to say is like the Prizm Silver PSA 10 that I told everybody to buy back when it was around, even when it got up to around $700 in April and May. That has been selling consistently multiple times for the last week and a half for between $1,500 and $1,800. So that, my friends, is almost a 3x. It's like a 2.5x. And that is a already graded card. That's pop 4,800. So I think we're all doing well on Wemby. I'm excited. I think a lot of you have done well on it. I want to say you're welcome, but also thank you for trusting me on that. Lefty, all right, I'm done bragging about my Wemby wins.
What number count do you think this is a Wemby win for you?
I'll tell you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 Wemby wins, but I still have the one.
I mean, I'm counting. I mean, back in the day.
Oh, back in the day. Oh, that's just this year.
I know.
And I still have like 10 that I'm waiting on. So I think I'm going to potentially get to 20 this year. But then you've got like at least 30 from 2023. And if you combine 2023 and 2024, you've got at least 30 that are like at this scale. I mean, it all started with the Sports Illustrated for Kids before he had any other cards out.
Was that the first
I was the
one?
one that was like, yeah, I was the one that was like, hey, and that was 2023, February 2023. I was like, we've all got to go get this. We've all got to go do this. I didn't have the magazine, but I went out to every single retail store around me that could possibly. Someone in our community was like, you should go to libraries. I'm like, that's a good idea. Well, then I just bought a bunch of them off of Amazon, bought a bunch of them off of eBay, tore the cards out, submitted them to PSA, sold them during the NBA draft lottery after the Spurs won the draft lottery. And those things sold for big time profit in PSA slabs. So those were the biggest. And then, dude, I'm not even thinking, okay, so I'm in the hundreds because I wasn't even thinking about our Tops Now plays, which we did really well on both of those cards. Yeah, I'm in the hundreds of Wemby. And like, look, Lefty, remember like 4 years ago, I was like, hey, don't you think it would work potentially if you just pick one player or one card and just consistently make money over and over again on that one player or that one card? That's kind of been Wemby for me.
I love that, man. I love it.
Thanks for bringing that up. That's good memories. Are you ready to start grading your cards? CGC Cards is the perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards. From their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing, CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading today. Remember that nooffseason.com is the only place on the planet with sports card rankings updated in real time, sorted by the ROI percentage you're likely to make in the future. Let's get into that real quick, Lefty. We've got a few more things to talk about today. Sports card rankings at nooffseason.com look a little bit different now. Could be a few reasons for that. I mentioned one earlier on in the show. Let's just take a look here and go through. I mean, you've got some cards that are consistently towards the top. Anthony Edwards 2020 Prizm Hyper, Brandon Miller 2023 Prizm Silver, Aaron Judge 2017 Topps Base, Kobe Bryant 1996 Topps Base, and Tiger Woods 2001 Topps Base. But what can you see this? What's one that should just get you excited right now if that's in the top three?
The Sabrina Ionescu is out of control right now. Like, that's so fun, dude. I actually bought and sold this card last year one time. So Sabrina is one of my favorite athletes, but the fact that somebody is getting her silver for $35 when there's one at best offer right now, raw, for $150 is an absolute steal. So as fun as this is, I think this goes down as one of the cards that we've talked about over time where it'll be pretty hard to find at that price just because of the liquidity amount of it. You know, like the Tiger Woods 2001s, the 2001 Tiger Woods, they're everywhere. You know, you can go find a gazillion of those. But the Ionescu card is pretty hard to find. But I think it's awesome that it's up there.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find. It is fun. Like, if you look, I mean, you want to make money on WNBA, like that's a top place to go, thanks to the rankings. I mean, you've still got a lot of Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards up here, some of the usual suspects, right? The Paolo Banchero, Prizm Silver, Cade Cunningham, Prizm Silver has moved up. I think a lot of the reasons why some of these cards have moved up, though, is because of the PSA 10 price increasing due to the start of the NBA season. So you got to be a little bit careful when you're looking at, okay, the upside potential of some of these cards. But in general, the rankings do a good job of balancing everything out because even like you might be able to, you know, you're still likely going to make quite a bit of profit as long as you bid on and or win a gradable card. But I do think it's interesting to look at this. It's kind of NBA focused all of a sudden. The Ionescu is kind of an interesting outlier. Baker Mayfield 2018 Donruss base is one that's doing very well in the rankings. Patrick Mahomes 2017 Donruss base is doing very well in the rankings. Bo Nix Prizm Silver moved up Drake May, Prizm Silver moved up. Jordan Love, Prizm Silver moved up a little bit. So it looks a little bit different now. The other one probably to be careful on, Lefty, is the Shohei Ohtani 2018 Bowman base batting, because that has gone up quite a bit in PSA 10 due to his success. However, it is Shohei Ohtani. So, I mean, if you're buying, like, the thing I like about that card is even though it's $811, if you start to buy that card over the next few months, chances are, even if you get a really bad PSA grade, just crack it out and sell it raw, and you still might make money off of it. That's what happened with me last year on that card. Does anything else stand out to you here, Lefty, as just kind of interesting about the sports card ranking? A lot of NBA. Tyrese Maxey moved up. So, I mean, I guess to be expected with again, I think it reflects the beginning of the NBA season, like we talk about. I'm not saying these are all necessarily like the top buys due to the fact that they're at the top of the rankings, but you will make money on them. I mean, I've got a couple actually that I want to throw your way after I get your take on the rankings as maybe my top sneaky buys from the rankings right now.
Yeah, I think some of them, like this is obviously if you were to buy and sell, and it has some timeline adjusted to it, but this is relative to the current data. Like I'm surprised that CJ Stroud is up here still. He has not been playing very well. Honestly, my investment in him in the offseason hasn't gone well. Like I'm going to eat crow on that investment right now, especially because of his concussion from yesterday. Baker Mayfield is surprising to me that card is still this high in the rankings. I think he deserves to be this high in the rankings, but it's also just still surprising. Thanks to Andy Kaysen for just being a Baker like SoundCloud for this whole time.
Yes.
And I'm surprised that Joe Burrow optic is still in here. So and of course you got the Jared Goff right above that. I made some serious money on Jared Goff last year. So
yeah, so I think like a lot of these,
but all those are football plays that I just mentioned. So it's funny that they're still in the rankings. So
being that this is raw to grade, you have to obviously account for PSA's slower turnaround time than normal. So if you're thinking of like any of these NBA plays, that's where I would maybe caution you, unless it's Anthony Edwards, maybe unless it's Victor Wembanyama. But I think if you're looking at a quick turn for a guy who's super hot right now, you could get burned. What I would do is I would scroll down. There's two cards that really kind of get me excited. One is Lamine Yamal 2023 Donruss Optic Hollow Club Kit. Yeah. It's a 31% ROI, but it's kind of at a plateaued market, which is where you want to be when you buy these. And so $46 buy-in point, 49 PSA 10, almost $250 upside. Sorry, $49 PSA 9, almost $250 upside in a PSA 10. Obviously there's quite a bit of soccer to play. There's all in the La Liga and the Champions League, but there's also the World Cup. And a lot of people have asked about the World Cup on the premium pod. To me, that's the play to make leading up to the World Cup, is because it's a raw to grade, you have the upside. And then if he does get hot, and is he injured right now? Is he like, I don't know. I don't really follow. So that's another reason, right? And so the other one is Paul Skeens 2023 Bowman Draft Chrome first refractor. It's a $48 card. So this is not the auto, but it's the refractor. It's $48 card, 57 in a PSA 9, 268 in a PSA 10. That's a 34% ROI. But again, if you're doing that now leading into baseball season, I think that's the way I want you guys to think of this. Don't think of it as, hey, I'm going to turn around a quick Scoot Henderson 20%. I mean, you could, but that card could go down by the time you get it back from PSA. So I think it's either sleeper quarterbacks that will, I mean, Jayden Daniels isn't a sleeper, but timing the market that way with grading, or timing the market that way with a basketball player like Ant, or it's going into baseball. So Lefty, to that end on baseball, where's your, Julio Rodriguez, is that one? So the rankings say 2022 Topps Chrome Sapphire base, Julio Rodriguez, $53. What's interesting here is there hasn't been a PSA 9 sale in the last 30 days, which ticks that down actually, makes it an even more conservative buy. Not risky. PSA 10 upside, 217. Formula still yielding a 51% ROI. Is that J-Rod Rod-a-grade play catch your eye in any way?
Not right now. I think Turner actually, so as soon as the World Series ended on Saturday, Turner texted me on Sunday afternoon and said, which baseball cards are we looking to buy? And I was like, let's go, Turner. He's locked in. And he said, and I was like, well, I'm probably waiting for like the high of it to wear off. The interesting thing about baseball is the cards are not done selling yet because the MVPs haven't been announced yet. The interesting thing about baseball is it falls a little bit differently than other sports where the rookie of the year and MVP voting don't get announced till after everything is done. And I think that's the final like marker for baseball. Like, like Judge will probably win the MVP later this week. I think that's probably today or tomorrow going to be announced. There's going to be a rookie of the year announcement, all this kind of stuff. And then a week or two after that, we'll be entering into some seasons where you can buy into baseball. J-Rod, though, is an interesting guy. I think he's probably on this chart because a PSA 10 popped during the Seattle Mariners World Series run. And people thought that J-Rod was, going to be in the World Series. So I would think that PSA 10 price point that's on there, the last sold, is probably a pretty high.
Well, it is a 30-day average.
Yeah, I know.
All these cards are 30-day average. You're just saying the one that sold skewed the 30-day average, most
potentially.
Likely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I would be conservative on him right now. I would buy him in a month, maybe, or maybe in 2 months. He's still a superstar. He's still going to be a really good piece of that Mariners offense that's probably going to run it back again. But just like I said for Bobby Witt Jr., if you buy him in December and you sell him in April, you make money every year. You know, and so that's what we're going to do again. And I think J-Rod is one of those kind of players. Judge is one of those kind of players. Shohei is probably going to be one of, that's an interesting market because of how wildly popular he is. But I think there's going to be some guys that are really exciting over the next month to buy.
Yeah. So and you still should get them back from PSA if you do that. You'll be close, but you'll have them back by the end of April if you buy in December, most likely.
Yeah,
so
I do like the Paul Skeens play though. I think the
Uh-huh.
Paul Skeens play is sneaky.
There we go. What about the Lamine Yamal?
I like Lamine. I think people have asked me to, what World Cup cards are you buying? And I think it's Lamine Yamal, Messi, maybe, or probably, and then maybe you can add a couple of the players into a maybe, but it's those two guys that I think are the premier sell markers in June or May or whenever it starts.
So the Messi card would be the 2014 Prizm World Cup 12 base, according to our
According to the rankings, yeah. I think there's going to be several Messi cards that move. Messi's market was bananas earlier this year, so
some already graded Messi stuff could move if you get it in auctions potentially.
Yeah. But also Messi's team is in the playoffs right now, and so wouldn't be the time to buy his already graded stuff. Is not the time to buy it now.
All right, there you go. All right, soccer's risky. Okay, Topps announces print run archive for Topps Now NBA cards. Why did I want to talk about this? Mainly because I think we could be nearing a big pause point. I'm not saying we're nearing the end of this raw to grade print on demand play, but everything comes in cycles. Like Lefty and I have been through, I would say at least 5 or 6 major cycles where there's several months where we don't touch any print on demand stuff. And then there's several months where that's like all we're doing is talking about print on demand, and we're getting print on demand cards, selling maybe some of them in pre-sales or raw, and then we're grading others. And now we've been grading. If you've been following us for the last several months, we've been grading at multiple grading companies. It's been Cooper Flag mainly, a little bit of some of the NFL rookies with the RPS first look and all that stuff. So, but I think we're at a point where we're going to have a huge pause on buying any other print on demand stuff. And I think there's many reasons for it. One reason is that Topps has gotten more expensive per card. I mean, this is actually one thing that we've sort of swept under the rug. I mean, the Topps Now cards used to be like $5 a card when we would buy a jiggler. Now they're $9 or $10 a card when we buy a jiggler. I mean, they've doubled in price.
Yeah.
So the profit margin is a little bit slimmer, especially when you're making bulk plays and everything. The other reason is because and I think this might be the main reason, is that there's just a dickload of these cards. There's just a ridiculous amount of these cards. We're going to get into that in a second. I think the third reason is just because grading is taking longer. The grading backlog, and these are raw 2 grade plays. And so the grading backlog taking longer, I think, has affected the timing of when you can get these cards to the market. And so a good example of that is like, I'm still waiting on 3 different Cooper Flag print on demand cards to get back from PSA that have been in assembly for like, it feels like decades. And as I've been waiting for them, there have been 2 Topps licensed basketball releases that have hit the market for wax with Cooper Flag in them. And so now all of a sudden, where you're looking at the premise of these print on demand plays is to beat that wax market for a rookie. Now it's like messed up because of the grading situation. So yes, it could still be that what I'm banking on is that these cards still sell for a slight profit, because I'm going to have graded versions of them back, most likely before people will have graded versions of the pulled wax stuff back. But it's not as valuable because people have more attention on the, like the Topps release and the Topps holiday and all that. We'll still make money, but it's definitely like slowing down to a point where it may not be as big of a piece of the pie. I may totally fade print on demand stuff for a little while. The Topps Now basketball archive also scares me a little bit, because when you look at the print run archive, you see some pretty alarming stuff. Like you look at Cooper Flags and you see the print run of the Topps Now. And we knew this would be the case. But again, we thought we would have, I don't even have these back from PSA yet. Right? Like that sucks. The print run is $124,000 for this. Now you get into, let's look at, this is the last one that I have purchased, and I am stopping now. The card number 6, where it's his first, it's his NBA debut. It's his NBA debut Topps Now card. Okay, card number 6. 43,182 of these. I might just sell them raw. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is a raw to grade play anymore, if I have to wait 3 or 4 months to get them back from PSA. But anyway, so I want people to know about this archive, topps.com/collections/tops-now-basketball-archive. Last reason I think is like, now that Topps has baseball and basketball and will have football next year on April Fool's Day. I mean, this could get out of control. So there may not, like, will there be another Topps Now play? Yes, of course, at some point. Like, there will be one. But we're going to have to wait to see how the grading backlog shakes out. We're going to have to see, like, what are the price point? Like, what is the first football licensed Topps Now card? Is it going to be $11.99 a card, which drops down to like $9.99 a card when you do a jiggler? Or is it going to be $15 a card and it's going to drop down to $12 a card when you do a jiggler? And now do we go PSA value plus to try to beat them. I mean, so there will be other ways of doing this, but I think we have to pause for now before we just have way too much in the PSA backlog for this.
Yeah.
But that's my thought. What do you think, Lefty?
The hustle is strong. Like, that's what's going to keep us engaged. That's what's going to keep us in this hobby, in this investing stream. Like, that's what's going to keep us doing what we do. We've got to continue to, everything is held with a grain of salt, like, be prepared and stay flexible, as one of my friends says back here. And so, I mean, the PSA 9 of that D1 Topps Now draft card sold for $13 yesterday. My PSA 9 sold for $13. That's a big loss, because, that's a $25 loss ish, maybe. Yeah. So, like, that's, or $20 loss. That's not good enough, And so if the margins are a $20 loss on a PSA 9, we would say fade that.
I mean, I would have expected to have my grades back from PSA a month ago at the worst, to where I could have just accepted a bunch of offers. And I'm sitting here, and then leading into the first week of the NBA season, I said the same thing. I'm like, surely they'll pop. I'll just accept all the offers. I won't profit much, but I'll profit. Now I'm sitting here thinking, well, I better damn well have all PSA 10s, or else this could be really bad for those. Yep. I think I have 40 of my own at PSA right now. So, man, stop buying Topps Now and Panini Instant cards until further notice. How about that? There will be more plays, but just stop. Stop. Okay. Quick eBay news. eBay and PSA Roll Out send to vault option with grading at checkout. This just makes sense. I don't know why they didn't do this at first, but they're doing it now. So you should start seeing it if you haven't already. Lefty, this has to make you very happy.
I'm very happy. Now, PSA Vault in general is not making me happy right now. I've actually got 3 pending things for them to straighten out for me. I'm pretty pissed. PSA, if you're listening, I need you to email me back. But so on my portal, I am missing a whole section of cards. I have like 20 things that they said has moved to the vault, and then I go to my vault and they're not in the vault. That's driving me bananas. I don't want them to be lost somewhere. And then I have one card. I bought in September, Paul. In September. And it went to the authenticator, got authenticated, and then in October 1, it said going from authenticator to vault. That's a month ago. A month ago, they shipped from the authenticator to the vault, and they're still not in my vault? What the frick?
It just means that you can't do anything with those cards. It's like, it's the worst, because it'd be one thing if they were like, well, you don't see them. It's just like a glitch in our technology. We're updating our software, but like, let us know if you want to do something with the card. It's like, you probably can't even do anything with the cards, right? Which makes it worse.
And I don't even know who to call or who to talk to.
PSA, reach out.
Card?
There's people that work at PSA for sure that consume our content and are hearing this right now. Just reach out. We're not going to slam you. It's just like, let's just, like, the hobby's tuned in.
I really wish we had individual customer service reps. Like, I pay for a premium service. I should not have to go through a chat bot to figure something out.
100%. Here's how it works. This service we're talking about, available for individual raw non-autographed cards priced $250 above with 2+ images in the listing. And I will say, it's not just priced $250. It has to be authenticity guarantee. It's not just priced $250. I actually don't like the way that this press release is written. Unfortunately, I have to call out my guy Joey, even though Joey's awesome. Joey, you can't say that. It's got to be authenticity guarantee. Specific exclusions apply, such as wet autograph items. I've never seen that before. Autographs before 1998, sets, lots, and multiple quantities. I mean, I'm just going to throw in for Joey for his sake. Also, sellers outside the US. Like, Janie Parasini came on and she said, use the authenticity guarantee filter. Okay, so do that. All right, anything with the authenticity guarantee filter. Then you should see at checkout the ability to have it shipped to your vault instead of back to you, which is new. All right. Also, long story short, and we saw this one coming. PSA updates grading fees to align with eBay updates grading fees to align with PSA, right? You can't have PSA increasing their price from $39.99 for Value Plus to $42.99, but then eBay losing $3 a card by leaving it at $39.99. So that's basically that announcement is hey, now you're going to see an increase here. And NoOffseason.com did the same thing, by the way. Now that we have to pay more to get your cards graded at PSA, we increased our prices just a little bit as well. Lefty, any parting shots on any of that, or just in general for this edition of the Sports Card Strategy Show?
No, not really. I'm excited about buying Anthony Edwards. So that's my parting shot.
Me too. All right. How about this? Bent 4072 asked a question in the live chat. Now, most people are now trained by the fact that in order for us to answer a question on the show, it has to be the premium pod. You got to be a premium member. So Bent 4072, we don't know your name, but I think you're a new listener to the show. So what we're going to do is just this one time welcome you into the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'm going to let Lefty answer this question. In Baseball Topps Finest, what number would you grade? 150 and below or 50 and below?
Bent, it's not that simple. That's my answer to that question. It's not that simple because you can't make blanket statements over an entire product. You can't make a blanket statement over an entire range of numbered cards. I mean, if you had a Topps Finest, I don't know, Austin Shenton card,
Poophead Jones,
that was out of 5, you don't grade that. But if you have a Shohei Ohtani Topps Finest, whatever, maybe something
out of 150,
out of 200,
yeah,
you might grade that. So
exactly.
I think I like the thought process here. I like having selective grading. So the thought process here, Bent, is in a particular product, do you have to cap it somewhere in relation to how popular it is with other products? And I think that's pretty wise to even be thinking in that direction. I would just say it's not that simple. I would just say there's more things you have to kind of go through here, and it's dependent on which player and which card.
Well said, Lefty. And that, Bent, is why we answer all questions we answer are on the premium podcast, because we really, in order to give you our best answer, we really do need to know more details than that. But we understand the heart and soul of your question. I mean, the other thing I would say is for a release like Topps Finest, probably not the best release, may not have the most upside in the PSA 10. It's going to depend on the sport as well. So everybody, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Sports Card Strategy Show. For Lefty McKee, I'm Paul Hickey. And listen, everybody, people have already signed up during this live stream. There were only 35 spots remaining in our 500 before this show. So you better get your ass over to nooffseason.com and sign up.
You said dick load a lot today.
How many times did I say dick load today, do you think?
Probably a dick load of them. Probably a dick load of times. Have a great week.
Have a great week, everybody. Have a dick load of a week. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. If you enjoyed the content on today's show, there's plenty more waiting for you at nooffseason.com. Just go to nooffseason.com right now. You get our formula-based sports card rankings, sports card school, inventory tracker, the ability to grade with us, and the premium podcast where we answer an unlimited amount of your questions. Check it out right now at nooffseason.com. For everyone at nooffseason.com, I'm Paul Hickey. Thanks again for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. We'll see you again soon. Have a great day.